Welcome back to Resistance Radio, 970 WGTK. Jim Coyle hanging out with you here each and every Sunday night from 10 to midnight. Thanks for coming along and joining the Resistance, gaining more and more listeners every day. Thank you for your support. And right now, I'm going to bring to the phone a good friend of mine, a colleague as well, the only guest with his own intro music. So if you would, cue it up. That's right. Time once again for the Loaded Gunn segment. Mr. Mark Gunn of Mark Gunn Media. Welcome back to the Resistance.
Thank you so much, Jim. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm going to start playing that for my car stereo. I'm loving it.
The only returning guest with theme music. So there you go.
I am honored. I am truly honored.
Well, we, as I've said before in this program, and those who listen probably know by now, this is something that you and I had talked about for a long time before we got a chance to actually make it happen, which is just having the ability to have the conversations that we have on air.
Right.
Spread it to more people so that more people have the conversation. And not agreeing all the time is part of a good conversation.
Exactly.
And learning something, which is what we strive to do, learning something from the conversation is a bonus.
And, from my perspective, I have to give you a lot of credit because you listen to a lot of other talk formats, and there's a perspective that you don't necessarily get.
Mm-hmm.
So, you are to be given a whole lot of credit for doing that.
Well, it was just we've got the opportunity, and I say go for it. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Well, tell me a little bit before we get into our conversation how things are going with Mark Gunn Media.
Oh, Mark Gunn Media is as busy as we've been in quite a while. As a matter of fact, we've taken our first foray into the world of audiobooks. Mm-hmm. And currently I'm producing a book called Unsecure Skies. It was written by Clay Biles, who is a former TSA agent. And Clay is famous or infamous for being a whistleblower. And the book takes a real hard look at the world of federal air marshals and that type of deal.
Interesting.
And there's some things that are going to be quite disturbing to those of us that fly quite frequently about what's going on with this branch of government service. So we're in production now. We should be done by the end of September, and it'll be available on Amazon and Kindle, that type of deal.
Right. Excellent. Very good. I love to see the success that you're having because, the whole spirit of Resistance Radio is if you can't get it done somewhere else, go do it yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I love to see you having some success with this. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. So let's talk a little bit now about what's going on in St. Louis. First of all, I just have to open up this conversation by saying, in no way, shape, or form whatsoever that I have seen so far, and I'll preface everything, this whole conversation based on what we've seen and known so far. Right. I don't see the justification for the shooting in the first place. Right. And I think there's been a whole lot of mistakes that have been made. On the law enforcement side, there have been mistakes. All right, so I'm not, whatever I put out there to talk about tonight, I am not in any way, shape, or form condoning the shooting of this individual.
And that right there should be the end of the argument, because one, from what it looks like, and from the way that this department has handled this whole thing, something stinks. Something stinks to high hell, and we are going to find out what exactly that is. The rioting and looting aside, and what this kid may have done in this grocery store that has nothing to do with this shooting. The police have even admitted that the officer involved had no idea what was going on as far as that case was concerned.
Right.
So anything else other than dealing with exactly what happened between this officer and this victim, everything else is a distraction.
Well, yeah, agreed. But it's a huge distraction, and it's a distraction that is causing epic proportions of trouble, not only in St. Louis, but ripples are being felt around the country.
And you're absolutely right, because I think for the first time, I think mainstream America is seeing a little bit of what we go through as blacks in this country in our dealings with the police. You've got a police department who has had a problematic relationship, and I'm being very kind when I say that, with a populace that is 66% black. Just in 2009 alone, I don't know if you heard about this particular case, to where they arrested a man, beat him in jail, and then charged him with destruction of property because he got blood on their uniforms.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that that particular case that you're talking about, and we can continue to look and discuss the mistakes of the police department, and I don't have a problem with that, but we have to look and discuss the destruction and the looting that is going on, because this is something that I have never been able to wrap my head around, no matter what the case may be. This is something, we didn't even wait for a verdict from a trial. This is instantaneous. Something goes wrong, and the instant response is to trash the neighborhood, to burn it down, to loot the stores. I don't understand that mentality. And I've said it time and time again. I wish somebody could put it in terms that I'd understand, because to me, as soon as I see that, you've lost your case, you've lost your argument, you've lost the moral high ground, you've lost Dr. King's message, you've lost the opportunity at the peaceful protest to be respected.
Well, here's an explanation for that, okay? You've got people that are opportunists. Let's get that right out front, right here and now. They see an opportunity to do something they shouldn't do, and they go for it. They don't give a damn about anything or anybody, okay? But on the other hand, because you can look back at history in this country, look what happened in Los Angeles. I was there. Look what happened in Watts. Look what happened anytime there was a grave injustice against black people. The response was one of intense anger. And aside from those that are looting out of opportunism, you are dealing with the people, Jim, just generally speaking, that are mad, that have been mad, that continue to be angry. And while the destruction of property is never something that anybody wants to condone, despite how angry we are, and we've got plenty of justification for that anger, just be glad that that anger has not been targeted on white people. That very same anger that you're seeing with destruction.
That sounds like that, and I know you better, but that almost sounds like a veiled threat.
You know, it's not veiled. Jim, it is not veiled. I am telling you right here and now. And people have been refusing to listen for years. For years. This is a small microcosm, teeny tiny bit of the anger that is repressed within black people because of the way the society treats us.
Yeah.
Especially with law enforcement. Jim, I'm telling you, if America does not get its racial house in order, one of these times this is going to happen. And it's not going to be stores that get looted. Mark my words.
Yeah, no, I agree. Track 3, please. Here's some audio from the streets of Furgeson.
What's his name? Darren Wilson. What's his name? Darren Wilson. What's his name? Darren Wilson. Who do we want? Darren Wilson. How do we want it? Now. Who do we want? Darren Wilson. How do we want it? Now. Who do we want? Darren Wilson. How do we want it? Now. Who do we want? Darren Wilson. How do we want wanted? Dead.
So they're saying, who do we want? Darren Wilson, the police officer. How do we want him? Dead. Now, this is there's a new Black Panther influence in this. They arrived on the scene from out of town, but
Right.
But this is what is being heard on the streets days afterwards.
But what people aren't talking about is the efforts that the Panthers have put forth in securing some of the other businesses.
Well, we'll talk about that.
They have been very instrumental in keeping the peace there.
We will talk about that as soon as we get back. Lots more to go with Mark Gunn on Resistance Radio 970 WGTK. Stick around. Welcome back. Resistance Radio 970 WGTK. It's our, bi-monthly or so, about every 6 weeks or so. I have the benefit of bringing Mark Gunn on the show with me. And tonight we're talking about what's been going on in Furgeson, Missouri, out there in the St. Louis area. And, Mark, as we went to break, I played the chanting led by the new Black Panthers calling for the death of the police officer. You said no one's talking about what the Black Panthers are doing to protect people?
Exactly.
And what is that? What are they doing?
Well, they have been in areas to where police and the highway patrol have been basically told to leave. The Panthers have been controlling traffic. They have been working with the citizens there to protect other stores from being looted. So their presence has been welcome. In fact, they have been working with law enforcement in some cases to keep the peace there.
That is bizarre. I'll just tell you straight up. I find that very bizarre. Play track 4. This is some more new Black Panther audio. You've probably heard this before. This was from up in Philly, King Shabir Sabah's track 4.
You want freedom? You're going to have to kill some crackers. You're going to have to kill some of their babies.
Okay, so you got them calling for killing crackers in their babies. You got them calling for the death of the police officer. And these are also new Black Panthers are the ones who stood out in front of the voting booth and intimidated people in 2008, telling them that, they didn't need to vote, that, white men had the vote long enough. And all of the charges brought up against them by the DOJ, it was an open and shut case of voter intimidation. There was audio, there was video, and they got let go completely. Everything was dropped. So I don't understand, number one, how you feel comfortable that these guys are out there assisting police, and number two, that DOJ is going to be able to step in with any kind of credibility in this situation either.
Well, as far as the Department of Justice is concerned, the Black Panthers is not the case. The case is what this police department did and how it handled the death of this young man. Let's put that aside, okay?
Okay.
The new Black Panther Party for Self-Defense has a problematic existence in that they don't operate in the way that the original Panthers did. The language is a lot more explosive. And there's a lot of things. I mean, there's a branch here in Louisville that I don't very often agree with. I understand the anger. I understand the rage. I don't agree with the way it's expressed.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, Jim, and you got to hear me on this. You may not like what's being said by them or by a lot of people in general when it comes to this case, but I'm telling you, you need to listen. Because, again, people are very, very angry, and that is putting it mildly.
Yeah, I know. I hear you, and I've been listening to you, and I've been trying to figure it out. And I understand the history of where we are. But I don't understand why we're still stuck in this rut and why others don't see what I see, and that is that the United States has moved leaps and bounds in the last 50 to 100 years from not only where we were, but where other countries still are today, to this very day. I mean, look at the 300 girls that were kidnapped over in the Middle East. You know, look at the people who are continuing throughout Africa and the Middle East to seriously, literally, in chains, enslave people and treat them as if they are only 3/5 of a person, trading people in the human slave market. That's still going on. Sex trade, labor slave trade. It's all still happening, but it's not happening here. And we're pushing the ball. We're moving forward, and it seems like every time we move forward, black community is getting angrier at America.
And here's why.
I mean, how did Eric Holder get into his position? How did Obama get into his position if we haven't moved the bar farther for the African American in America?
You're talking as if this is a zero-sum game. Yes, we've made progress, but still, those things that have been detriments to the well-being of the black community still go on. People are still benefiting from institutionalized racism. You still have predatory lending practices. You still have redlining. You still have blacks that pay, on average, higher prices for goods and services. Insurance, health care. Things are still not equal. Yeah, we've made some strides. We're making progress. But when you're in the position to where you can talk progress all day long, but yet I'm still getting the crap beat out of me by police for just simply being black, I'm getting, treated like I'm a piece of crap by a store owner simply for shopping in his or her store, I'm still seeing the inequities that the society has placed on my grandfather, his grandfather, those before him. We're not talking about those physical chains and physical bondage, Jim. We're talking about societal mechanisms that have been in place that have allowed for one group of people to progress on average and have been in place to hold back another group of people.
All right, we got...
That's what we are pissed off about.
All right, we got Richard calling in on line 2. Richard, welcome to the Resistance.
Yeah, hi, Jim.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, I am concerned about what happened in Furgeson, and I'm concerned about what your guest has been saying too, because this guy was a thief who engaged in terroristic threatening of the white store owner that he robbed. I know. Mike or Mark Gunn is saying that, is it Mike or Mark?
Mark.
He's saying that the police didn't know about the robbery
right
when they stopped Michael Brown.
Right.
But they stopped Michael Brown from walking down the middle of the road, the street, where he shouldn't have been, so he needed to be removed from the middle of the street. And we really don't know how Michael Brown responded when the policeman told him to get out of the middle of the street.
Right.
That part has been reported by a friend of Michael Brown's, but many people have questioned the veracity of that friend.
Well, there's a lot of questions that have been raised around how the whole thing went down.
Yeah.
Did he reach into the car? Was there a struggle for the gun? Did the gun dislodge a bullet in the car? Did Michael Brown turn and leave and then turn around and come back?
Yeah.
The forensics will work all that out. Forensics will let us know. It is a science where the gun went off, who was around the gun, how the body was positioned when he was shot. So those things will come to terms eventually. But do you have a question in there?
Well, I'd like to know why Mark is so ready to condemn all white people and take after the Black Panthers.
All right, there you go.
Well, I'm not ready to condemn all white people, Richard. What I am condemning is the system that has kept the advantage for white people. That's a big difference. It's not that all white people are bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that the system that the society has set up has kept whites in an advantage that has been unfair over everybody else.
Got it.
That's where a lot of the anger comes from.
Thanks for the call, Richard. And Mark, here's my question. What does justice look like?
Oh, well, justice has many faces. If you're looking at justice from the purest, most red meat, raw place that it can come from, if it is found that this officer killed Michael Brown, the death was not justified, justice would say that this guy would either be sentenced to life or death in prison.
Or death in prison, right. Now, my point is, I agree with you on that. Justice takes time. The wheels of justice turn slowly. And if you want justice to be done by raiding and looting, that's vigilante justice. That's mob justice. That's not true justice. True justice takes time to absorb the facts, to look at the situation, and to make an accurate assessment. Mark, I can't believe it, but we've run out of time already.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
Well, we'll definitely have you back on once again in the near future, sir. Always a pleasure to have you, and thank you for the thoughtful, intelligent conversation.
Jim, thank you, man. Anytime, man.
No problems. Mark Gunn of Mark Gunn Media. We'll be right back with Hour 2 coming up next.
Stay tuned for more of Resistance Radio.